Ang huling natatandaan kong message ko, I think it was 6 months ago. Nag-beg off ako nung October kasi may nasabay na punta namin sa Dubai, kaya hindi ko maharap. Pero noong last time, parang napahaba yata yung sermon ko noon. Umabot yata ng 55 minutes. Kaya itong message ko ngayon, iniksian ko naman. Sana wag naman umiksi ng husto, di ba? Kasi mayroong isang pastor kasi na kung mag-sermon, 1 hour 10 minutes, 1 hour 20 minutes, ganyan. Parating naiinip yung congregation niya. Ayun, isang worship service nila, malapit na matapos, nagpaalam. Sabi niya, nalulungkot ako na pupunta na ako sa ibang congregation. Lilisanin ko na kayo, sabi niya. Kasi doon ako pinapapunta ni Jesus, sabi niya. At bilang ganti, yung congregation naman, tumayo sila lahat at kumanta ng "What a friend we have in Jesus." Sabi nila. Ibig sabihin, ina-appreciate na aalis na yung pastor nila. Friend nila si Jesus. Nakabara ako doon sa car ni pastor. Meron daw rule of thumb sa length ng isang sermon. Ito raw ay maihahalin tulad sa skirt ng isang babae. Ang sabi ay, the sermon must be long enough to cover the essentials, but short enough to be interesting. May katotohanan po, di po ba? Yun lang mga importante ang makover. At baka habaan hindi naman na importante yung iba. Dapat short naman siya na interesting pa rin. Ang message natin ngayon ay magpapatuloy tayo sa series on a personal God who relates to us personally. At ang title natin ay God Takes Care of Joseph in Egypt. Pangatlong sermon ito ng life ni Joseph. Last 2 weeks, sinermon ni Pastor Ting yung una, and then si Madam Yoli yung pangalawa last week. Pag-aralan natin verses 46 to 52 of Genesis 41. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city, he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. And Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh, and said, "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." the second son named Ephraim, and said, "It is because God made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." After many years of dark nights, napakaraming trials, pagsubok sa buhay ni Joseph, Genesis 41:46 to 52 shows the dawning of a bright day in the life of Joseph. Grabe ang dinanas niyang pagsubok. Kung ihanin tulad natin sa pelikula ni The King, no? Fernando po, talagang bugbog sarado. Pero sa bandang huli, panalo, di ba? Ito na yung beginning. Ngayon, para maintindihan natin ang gusto, balikan natin. Pero sa message ngayon, magko-concentrate lang tayo sa tatlo. Yung reversal of sadness in his life, the providence of God in his life, and the realignment in his life as evidenced by the names of his sons. Kasi masyadong makulay ang buhay ni Joseph, at kung ikwento natin lahat yan ay abutin tayo ng maghapon. Okay, let's have a quick review of the previous events in the life of Joseph. Joseph's life was a mess, sabi ni Pastor King. He came from a messy family. Messy family, hindi naman sinasabing madudusing sila at hindi naliligo, kundi may mga kapintasan. Hindi sila perfectong family. At unang pagsubok niya ay noong i-attempt siyang patayin ng kanyang mga brothers. At instead ay pinagbili na lang sila. He was thrown in a pit and later sold by his brothers to Ismailite traders. At ang bumili sa kanya, yung Ismailite traders, dinala siya sa Egypt. And he was sold in a slave market. And he was bought by Potiphar. Si Potiphar ay Egyptian captain of the guards. At na-bless ang household ni Potiphar. All went well with Potiphar because God blessed his household dahil kay Joseph. Ang problema nagsimula nung nagkakagusto pala sa kanya tong si Mrs. But the wife of Potiphar was so attracted. Guwapo kasi itong si Joseph. That she made advances to seduce him. Tinitempt niya si Joseph. Kaso, si Joseph, siyempre takot siya. At saka isa pa, close siya sa God. Strong siya. Nagtrabaho ako nung 30 years old ako, nagtrabaho rin ako sa Saudi. At napansin ko mga babae doon, mga Lebanese, mga Saudi, Syrian, mapuputi at magaganda sila. Kaya siguro ginawa ng God na ang kultura nila ay nakaganon. At maging sila, di ba, si Leah at si Rachel, naka-cover si Leah. Kaya nung first night nila ni Jacob, kala niya si Rachel, yung pala si Leah. Ganun ang nangyari. Naka-cover sila para hindi makita at matempt ang mga lalaki. But Joseph spurned her. Inisnab niya. Ayan, tumatakbo siya. So he was unjustly accused having sexual advances on her. Binaliktad siya nung wife ni Potiphar at nakulong siya. And he spent 2 years in prison because of the lie of Potiphar's wife. In prison, Joseph allows God to interpret. God gave him inspiration to interpret the dreams of the fellow and inmates. yung cupbearer at saka yung baker. So, yung isang dream, masisave yung cupbearer at yung isa ay mabibitay yung at nagkatotoo. At napag-usapan nila ng cupbearer na pagka napunta ka sa king, ay huwag mo akong kalilimutan para makalaya na ako. So, the cupbearer was supposed to tell the king about Joseph. But he forgot about Joseph. It was years later, the cupbearer of the king remembers na meron palang makakapag-interpret ng mga dreams na nag-interpret ng dream niya. At yan ay noong managinip si Pharaoh. 2 years passed, and Pharaoh had a dream that bothered him so much. He gathered all his magicians and wise men to interpret, but nobody can. And Pharaoh told them to find somebody who can. It was then that the cupbearer remembered Joseph. Genesis 41:14. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. Galing sa dungeon, dinala siya. When he had shaved, siyempre nag-shave siya, naligo, sinabi na ng Pharaoh yung kanyang dream at na-interpret ni Joseph. Dahil sa God showed the dream to Joseph. At alam natin lahat na ito yung dream na may darating na famine na 7 taon. Pero bago dumating yon ay mayroong abundance na 7 years. 7 matatabang baka, umahon galing sa Nile, tapos may sumunod na 7 mapapayat na baka, kinain nung mapapayat yung mga matatabang baka. Ngunit nanatili silang mapapayat. Iyon ang panaginip ng Pharaoh. At na-interpret nga ni Joseph. Ganun ang mangyayari, mahal na Pharaoh. At yung pangalawang, yung kanyang pangalawang dream ay ito. Ayun yung mga baka. Ito naman yung grain na matataba na umusbong. Kaya may umusbong naman na mapapayat, mga ipa, wala silang laman. At nawala yung mga matataba. Na the same ang interpretation. Kaya tuwan-tuwa yung Pharaoh. God showed the meaning. And Pharaoh was so pleased with Joseph that he appointed him to rule over all Egypt. Second only to Pharaoh. Anong ginawa ni Pharaoh? So Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring and from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command. And people shouted before him, make way. Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Imagine, si Joseph, nasa kulungan din, suddenly, prime minister siya. Dito na tayo ngayon sa ating verses. Dito na yung simula. And Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Kukunin natin ang mga insights dyan. Imagine, 13 years of tragedy and betrayal. And suddenly, after one day, he becomes prime minister. He now holds the highest position in the kingdom. Of course, next to Pharaoh. Think what it must have been like for Joseph after 13 years of tragedy na mapupunta siya from a prison cell to the second highest position in the kingdom. Pangalawa, na insight natin. Simple lang kaya kay Joseph yung ganyan na bigla siyang na-promote. It could have been shocking for Joseph. Hindi lang kasimple. One day he was scrubbing floors in the dungeon. And the next day, he was prime minister. The mighty Potiphar, yung captain of the guards, na amo niya, was now his servant. Imagine a 30-year-old janitor, halimbawa, naglilinis-linis doon, suddenly becomes prime minister of a great nation. Malaking shock sigurado yan kay Joseph. Malamang from deep darkness to peak of success. One period of his life, he was in deep darkness. No escape. The next period, he was at the peak of success, riding at the highest places available to humans. Perhaps there were many days he had to pinch himself. Kinukurot-kurot niya sarili niya. Totoo ba ito? Buti na lang kasama niya ang God. Pangapat, meron siya dating little responsibility. Nandun lang siya sa kulungan, kasama yung ibang nakakulong. And then suddenly, a huge responsibility. Sabi ni Uncle Ben, ni Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Napanood niyo ba yung Spider-Man? Hindi raw siya ang original doon. Ang original daw ay si Stan Lee. Hindi si Stan Lee si Stan Lee. Ayan. Yung nagdo-drawing ng comics. Nagdo-drawing ng comics yun. Noong 30 years old ako, nabanggit ko nga, 1980 yun, nagtrabaho rin ako sa Saudi. Tapos, sumagi sa isip ko ito, ano kaya kung noong nagtrabaho ako doon at pinatawag ako ni King Fahad at sabihin niya na, Idilberto, ikaw na bukas ang Prime Minister, patatakbuhin mo ang Saudi Arabia. Tapos, ako siguro sasabihin ko, ibalik niyo ako sa Pilipinas. Malamang. But Joseph bravely and confidently accepted. Why? He knows God is with him. He knows God will be with him and give him success. He trusted God. Sabi sa Genesis 41:46b, yung pangalawang verse natin. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. Aksyon agad si Joseph. Hindi na nagdalawang isip. Maring nagdalawang isip siguro, pero mas malakas yung tiwala niya sa God na hindi siya pababayaan. Ang application diyan sa reversal, it's the darkest hours that try our souls and test the metal we're made of. Talagang dadaan lahat tayo dyan. Kung malambot-lambot tayong metal, maaring padadaanin pa tayo sa pagsubok, ganon. then the providence of God to Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. We would all have to agree that God was with Joseph after he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams and became one of the most powerful men on earth. But was God with him after he was betrayed and abandoned? Was God with him when he was in the pit? Siguro marami sa atin pagka sunod-sunod ang trial natin, sasabihin natin, Lord, bakit mo ako pinabayaan? Pero si Joseph, hindi. Sa pit, nanatili siyang matapat. God was with him. God also protected him from the evil plan of his brothers to kill him. Sa pamamagitan ni Reuben, yung panganay nila. Kung si Reuben na nag-agree sa lahat sa kanila na sige patayin na natin, malamang tigok na si Joseph ngayon. Pero sabi ni Reuben, wag natin siyang patayin. Huwag natin siyang patayin. Malalaman ni Papa yan. Lagot tayo. At tama-tama naman, was God with him when he was on slave market in Egypt. Kasi pinagbili siya. Tama-tama, may dumaan na trader eh. Coincidence ba yun? Hindi coincidence yun. On slave market. Yes, sold to a good master. Mabait si Potiphar eh. Mabait siya. Egyptian na mabait. What about in Potiphar's house? Yes, Potiphar saw the Lord was with him. Genesis 39, verse 3. Ay kung noon tinetempt siya ni wife ni Potiphar, yes. Or else he would have fallen. I imagine ang ganda nung misis ni Potiphar. Nung nakulong, yes, in Genesis 39:21, but the Lord was with Joseph. And at ang ginawa ng God ay God sent the cupbearer of the king to meet him. Nakulong yung dalawa dahil nabwisit si Pharaoh at pinakulong silang dalawa. At nag-met sila ni Joseph na ininterpret yung kanilang dreams. Application. So if God was with or favoring Joseph in bad times, is God with us in our bad times? Yes. We too must trust Him and keep the faith. Because we don't know the joys God has planned for us may just be around the corner. B. Each terrible event brought him closer to the throne of Egypt. Tingnan natin mabuti yung ruta ni Joseph. Pinagbili siya doon sa Dothan. Una Shechem and then Dothan. Doon yung butas na inihulog siya. Tama-tama na may dumaang was it accidental that as his brothers were deciding how to kill him, that an Ishmaelite caravan happened to come by that spot? No, that caravan was God's chariot sent to carry Joseph to Egypt. It went south, not north. Kasi ang travel dyan, ito yung the way of the sea, yan ang ruta ng mga trade. Either dadaan dyan papunta or dadaan pabalik. At I imagine hindi naman tulad ngayon na mabilis ang balikan. Baka ang next na balik ay isang buwan or something. At maaring hindi siya papuntang south, maaring north. Ay kung papuntang north, di palayo sa Egypt. Pero talagang ibinigay ng God na matapat yun. Isa yun kaya nag-decide sila na ipagbili na lang, kikita pa sila. At siya ay dinala sa possibly Avaris or Heliopolis, isang border city muna. And from there, he was brought south to the Pharaoh's palace. Hundreds of miles yon ang layo. It went south and not north, closer to the throne of Egypt. Palapit ng palapit, dinala siya ng God sa Egypt talaga. And then isa pa, number 2, he was bought by Potiphar. Diyon, in a border city, Avaris, Heliopolis, or Memphis. From there, he was taken 100 miles south to the royal capital city, Lahun, closer to the throne. Dinala na siya malapit sa throne. Dahil si Potiphar nakatira doon, malapit sa palace. Within the compound perhaps. Betrayed, he was put in Pharaoh's political prison. Political prison, pinaglagyan, hindi sa criminal prison. I presume na yung criminal prison, hiwalay. Siyempre, lalayo mo yung mga criminal talaga. Pero political prison ay nandun sa basement lang ng palace. Doon siya dinala. Closer to the throne. And lastly, he met Pharaoh's cupbearer, who constantly had access to the throne. A direct link between Pharaoh and Joseph. Ayan na yung direct link nila. Application natin, God is in charge of our lives. Mayroong magandang poem si Corey ten Boom. Life is but a weaving. Life is but a weaving between my Lord and me. I cannot choose the colors He works with steadily. Ofttimes He weaves in sorrow, and I, in foolish pride, forget He sees the upper, and I the underside. Not till the loom is silent, and the shuttle ceases to fly, shall God unroll the canvas and explain the reason why. Sa buhay natin, marami tayong hindi maintindihan. Lord, bakit kaya nagkaganon? Bakit kaya nagkaganito? Pero may pinabalak ang God sa atin. Gumagawa siya ng napakalaking masterpiece sa atin. And the third, mental realignment of His sons. Genesis 41 verse 50. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh and said, "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." The second son he named Ephraim and said, "It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." Ito nakuha natin sa GCI commentary. GCI commentary. Joseph's 2 sons and his state of the heart. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh from his Egyptian wife. whose name means forgetfulness. This was because God made Joseph forget all the previous pain and trial in his life. But Joseph did not forget the faith of his fathers. Yun ang talagang hindi niya nakalimutan. Pero yung mga heartaches niya, trials niya, kinalimutan niya. Kailangan niya. And as a sign of this, his children were given Hebrew names, not Egyptian names. What were the things that Joseph had to forget from his former life? Marami. Death of his mother, hate of the brothers, separation from father. Alam natin, si Joseph ang favorite. Masakit sa kanya, sigurado yun. Fears. Sigurado nung nasa pit siya, natatakot din siya. Nung pinagbili siya sa Ismailite traders, malamang kinakabahan siya. Pero in-overcome niya. His doubts, hindi maalis yun. Baka iniisip niya minsan tinutulungan pa kaya ako ni God? Sure, bawat isa sa atin ganun din. Hindi nararanasan natin. Loneliness. Sigurado yon, sigurado. Sa kulungan, dungeon, pag di ka na lonely doon, ewan ko lang. Abandonment. Sure. Despair. Yan ang mga kailangan niyang kalimutan. Hindi niya dapat parating iniisip yun. And depression, siguro, mangyayari yan. Kung sunod-sunod ang pagsubok, mangyayari. Until Joseph put those things behind him, he couldn't move forward. They would hinder him. They are weights. Sabi sa Hebrews 12, 1-2, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. And for our application, the same thing is true of you and me. What are some of the unpleasant things in your life, in our life? Those things belong to the past. Like Joseph, let's forget them. We can't be doubly fruitful until we are also forgetting. Maniniwala ba kayo doon? In his book, The Great Divorce, C.S. Lewis described hell as a place where no one forgets anything. Remembering every slight, every cruel exchange of words, every wrong ever done to them, and everybody is utterly unforgiving. But in heaven, all these things are put away because all things have become new. Minsan meron tayong na-forgive ko na siya pero hindi ko makalimutan. Ayan malinaw. Hell pala yun. Kaya let's forget. Yung mga may ganun kalimutan na natin. Magpatawad na tayo. Punta tayo sa second son, si Ephraim, meaning fruitful. Joseph faced a new chapter called fruitfulness. At ito na yung mga verses natin. Ito na yung fruitfulness sa life ni Joseph. Tinatamasa na niya ngayon. Although medyo malaki ang burden, ay matatag siya, no? Joseph determined that he was going to do everything possible to be fruitful for the kingdom of God. Though he was in the service of the Pharaoh, he was with God and God was with him. Ano-ano yung ginawa or naranasan ni Joseph. He saw that he had a new life. Bago na ang life niya. New wife. Meron na siyang wife. New family. New responsibilities. Nag-move on na siya. New happiness. New success. And everything about him should be focused. Should be focused on his new life and dominated by positive expectations. He went from forgetting the ugly past to planning how to be fruitful today. In Genesis, uh, 41-47, during the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. And Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city, he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored huge quantities of grain, like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Ganun kalaki ang blessing na binigay ng God. Government organization in Egypt may not have been much different from our present government. Except syempre yung corruption, wala pa siguro masyado. Pero similarly, may mga provinces yan. Each province has a governor, and there are many provinces. And in each province, perhaps there are districts and cities and towns, and there are men running each respective area, and all of them responsible to Joseph. What would have he done? Ano kaya ang nagawa ni Joseph? Of course, God blessed the land and the crops, but he had a part to do. Ito, he had the farmers. Kailangan niya siyempre ng farmer na magtatanim, di ba? Farmers plant abundant crops. Nagtayo siya ng canals, perhaps, to carry water, irrigation. Expand siyempre niya yung farmlands. He assembled large numbers of laborers. Imagine 7 years. Ang ani ay parang sand of the sea. Ginawa ng God yun, pero gagawin niya ang part niya. And perhaps he assembled large number of laborers to assist with the farm and transport. Ita-transport mo siyempre yan, anihin mo yan. And he hired inspectors siyempre, mga tao rin na mag-gather. Kasi ang ani, 20% ng harvest ay iipunin. Iipunin lahat para sa next 7 years na famine, marami silang stock. And he had to build hauling equipment at saka large barns. Similar doon sa mga large barns yan. O kaya silos. And he had guards, siyempre. Baka sakaling may mga magnanakaw. Perhaps he built dams and levees. Kasi pag umulan, siyempre usually yan magbabaha, masisira. Kaya makukontrol mo yon sa pamamagitan ng mga dams. And central government office, siyempre, to handle all requests for grain, etc. And Joseph was successful because God was with him in all he does. He put his past behind and concentrated on his present. For our application, if we would be successful with God, we must get past our ugly past and be fruitful with those around us at the moment. Huwag tayong mag-dwell sa problema, move on na tayo. And for our conclusion, we learn from the life of Joseph that bad things happen to good people. Huwag natin sabihing, mabait naman ako, hindi ako daranas niyan. We learn that things don't always turn out the way that we should like them to. Diba, humihingi tayo halimbawa ng, Lord, bigyan mo nga ako ng kotse na Fortuner. Yung pala, ibibigay sa'yo, Ferrari. Diba? Parang ganyan nangyari kay Joseph eh. Si Joseph talagang tinambakan ng blessing ng God. Just because we are living a life for God, does not mean that we will not have problems. Kasama natin yan eh. Ang pagsubok, dinaranas ng Kristiyano at dinaranas din ng hindi Kristiyano. We learned that events of life, Joseph's life, did not happen by chance. Walang chance sa atin eh. It is intentional. May hand ng God lagi. At makikita mo yan. If you look back, kami nakikita namin eh. Mga blessings ng God na hindi namin nakikita nakikita namin later, ilang taon, bago natin makita. That is because God is working and through His life. Working in and through His life. God allows us to fall at times in order to come to depend on Him. To depend on Him. Tinuturo niya tayong hindi sa sariling strength nyo. Strength ko ang mananaig. Gusto ng God na mag-depend tayo sa Kanya. Our falling doesn't mean God has abandoned us. It may mean God is promoting us. Tulad kay Joseph, di ba? Sorry. Let's take our past to the Lord and trust Him for a great and glorious future. To God be the glory.